Are you the sort of person who cares a lot about how other people feel? Do you constantly think about ways that you can help people? Do you just want to feel close to the people you like? Now, you would never think that those qualities could backfire on you because those qualities make you who you are. But sometimes they can go too far. When you are overly focused on other people's feelings, you can end up crossing a line, especially when it comes to men. Hi, I'm Amy Waterman. I am a love expert here at yourbrilliance.com. And my goal is to shake things up a bit by giving surprisingly different advice that really works. So keep watching to find out one of men's biggest turnoffs. He won't tell you this, but one of his biggest turnoffs is someone who's overly invested in the way he feels. So this woman spends all of her time trying to figure out what he's feeling. She analyzes everything he says and does for clues as to whether he likes her. She takes personal responsibility for his feelings. So if he backs away or if he cools off, she sees it as a judgment on her, and she immediately sets plans in place to get close again. And she's doing all this not because she's a bad person, obviously, but because she cares about him. This is just the way she is. She organizes her life around other people's feelings. But he doesn't experience her behavior as caring. He actually experiences it as stressful. He feels like he can no longer live his life in peace because he has to consider how she will interpret every single little thing he does. And he's constantly reassuring her. He gets sick and tired of the conversation always coming back to feelings. It's just too psychological for him, and he can't handle it. And so he breaks things off, and she never learns why. As women, we have been set up for this. We have been trained from a young age that it is our job to micromanage how everyone else is feeling. And so we learn to pay super close attention to the people around us. It's one thing to be super sensitive to other people's feelings. But when you add insecurity on top of that, and who doesn't feel insecure in love, you end up stressing yourself out. So a man tells you that he can't talk right now, and you assume that he's pushing you away because he doesn't like you anymore. Or a man says that he can't meet up with you and walk to class anymore, and you assume that he's telling you that he doesn't want to be with you anymore. And then you confront him about it to clear the air. And instead of reassuring you, he explodes in frustration. He doesn't understand why you're reading so much into his behavior. You know, he couldn't talk. He couldn't meet up. What's the big deal? He storms off and you feel terrible. And so you try to make it up for him by doing nice things for him, surprising him with his favorite coffee, sending him sweet texts, trying to make things go back to the way they were. But he doesn't take those overtures in the way you intended. Now he feels like you won't leave him alone. He just needed some space, and instead you're always there every time he turns around. And he gets more and more frustrated, and he acts more and more distant every time he sees you, which makes you more and more frantic in your efforts to win him back. It doesn't have to be this way. There's another option. Now imagine a different kind of relationship. In this relationship, you don't try to get inside his head. Instead, you train yourself to take his behavior at face value. So you don't overanalyze, you just take him at his word. So if he says he can't make it tonight, you accept that he can't make it and you get on with your evening. You try to avoid ruining your evening with rumination on what this means for your relationship and where he's really at tonight and whether he's with someone else. And if he seems frustrated or irritated, you wait to see if he's open to talk about it. And if he doesn't want to open up, you let it go and you let him do what he needs to do to process his feelings. You don't take responsibility for his feelings because they're his feelings and they're not yours. So you don't psychoanalyze him. You don't claim to know his real motives. You don't assume that you know him better than he knows himself. You honor and respect his personal and psychic space, and he does the same for you. So what this means is that he is an expert on himself. So if he says he needs a fishing weekend, you conclude that what he needs is a fishing weekend. You don't jump to the conclusion that he's bored of the relationship and doesn't want to spend time with you anymore. Now, does this sound completely reckless? Like, surely you can't take a man at his word. Surely you cannot take his behavior at face value. Surely there's always more to the story. But what you're conveying by doing this is a very valuable message. You're showing him that you trust him. Now, this behavior doesn't just turn off men. This particular turnoff is a universal turnoff. Men do it to women too. Friends do it to friends. Family members do it. Anytime anyone spends too much time thinking about your behavior and taking it personally, it's a turnoff, no matter who does it. An experience of mine really drove home this lesson to me. A while back, I was working out at the gym every morning before work. And this older gentleman, who's probably retired, ended up striking up a conversation with me. And we had a nice chat. And the next day he was there again, and the next day, until I realized that he was now coming in every time I was there so that he could work out with me. Now, I'm not the sort of person who wants a workout partner, because my workout time is my me time. I need that peace and that quiet to plan what I need to do for the day. But it was really hard to tell him that, because he was clearly enjoying spending his mornings with me. And finally, after a few weeks, I managed to tell him that I needed my workout time back because I relied on that time to mentally set myself up for the day. Even though I was super polite about it, I could tell that he was hurt. And so for the next few days, I would always greet him every morning in a friendly way, but I stayed focused on getting my workout done and then out the door. And then this weird stuff started happening. He started looking for ways to connect with me, like offering me a protein bar or an extra bottle of water, or he would wait for me until I left the gym and give me these compliments, like how much he admired my discipline. Now, I know that he was just a lonely older guy with too much time on his hands, but it began to feel invasive for me. And finally, he confronted me after the gym one day, and he said that he was going to stop coming to the gym in the mornings because it felt like I didn't want him there. Now, as a woman, your first instinct in situations like this is to say, I'm so sorry. I didn't make you feel that way. Of course, I want you here. We've been trained to believe, right, that it's our fault if we accidentally make someone feel bad, and it is our job to immediately make them feel good again. But I resisted that temptation, and I just said, you need to do whatever makes you feel comfortable. And maybe that wasn't the perfect reply, but it was enough. Because what I have learned through my work is that each and every one of us has a right to boundaries. We have a right to our personal space, and we also have a right to psychic space. We have a right to tell someone when we can't give them what they want or we can't be what they want. And this guy obviously wanted a young, attractive friend to work out with every morning, which is a perfectly fine thing to want. But that person wasn't going to be me. It was my responsibility to communicate my boundary in a kind and firm way. And it was his responsibility to deal with his disappointment. And if he could have done that, then chances are we would have remained friends, because I liked the guy. I just didn't want to work out with him. But he took my no personally, and he kept trying to find ways around my boundary. And for me, that was a red flag that I couldn't ignore. It has taken me so much work to get to the space where I can take ownership of what is mine, and I can let other people take ownership of what is theirs. So I only feel safe now in relationships where we honor each other's personal and psychic space. But those relationships are not always easy to find. Have you ever had a relationship derailed because the other person took your behavior personally when it was not about them at all? If so, give me a thumbs up. When I'm around people who blur those lines, who project their own thoughts and feelings onto me, or who assume that they know the reasons for my behavior better than I do, then I shut down. The legendary Patricia Evans taught me that no one else has the right to tell me who I am or what I'm thinking or feeling. They can always ask me what I'm thinking or feeling, and I will tell them, but they don't get to tell me things like, you want this or you don't want this, because that's putting their thoughts into my head, and that's not okay. You've probably heard of the 5 love languages, but did you know that there's a 6th? Many therapists believe that giving someone space is a way to show your love for them. So when your partner says that he needs his morning workouts, or he needs time to himself, or he just needs to be left alone for a minute, listen carefully to what he's telling you. You might assume that he's saying he doesn't want to be around you, but maybe he's just saying that he needs you to speak his love language. So give him what makes him feel loved. Give him that space to think, space to zone out, space to breathe, space to remember himself. And then he can come back to you refreshed and recharged. So don't jinx your relationship by making a person's behavior into something it's not. Now, I have spent all of this time talking about turnoffs, but what about turn-ons? That's the subject of the 3 A's of effortless attraction, which is my free gift to you. Just click on that link and I will send you an in-depth 20-page report on how to turn on a man using the 3 A's. You'll learn about my hedonistic theory of attraction and so much more. Take really, really good care of yourself, and I will see you next time.